Drive. Ras Ceylon, my brother.
Yes, indeed.
How are you? Assalamu alaikum.
Man, wa alaikum salam, rahmatullah, what we got to. Just, man, thankful to be here in New York, thankful to be in Brooklyn. It's like a second home, you know, and been looking forward to doing this for a minute with you, bro. So, you know.
So happy to have you on, my brother. You in the East Coast. It's hard to get my brother, you know, from the West Coast and the East Coast on a regular basis, I'm saying. I know you've been visiting pretty frequently.
Right, recently.
Shooting music videos and all that.
Yeah.
You from the Bay Area originally?
Yeah, well, actually, LA, Southern California, and then I was born and raised down in LA and moved to the Bay when I was like 17, 18, and pretty much been there ever since, you know what I mean? So,
nice.
LA to the Bay, West Coast, Cali thing, you know?
So you consider that your home, basically?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Oakland in particular, that's where I moved when I was like 18, and the city of Oakland has really embraced me, and a lot of my formative years were spent there, you know, and so, yeah, the town of Oakland, man, birthplace of the Black Panther Party. That's definitely that's.
So you represent with the shirt right
man,
there.
Got to, man.
Huey P. Newton.
Huey P. Newton.
Revolutionary.
We just celebrated his 80th birthday. You know, we got a new memorial statue for him in West Oakland.
In Oakland, nice.
Yeah,
yes.
Man. So we do a lot of work with the Dr. Huey P. Newton Foundation. Folks can check that out.
So much history out there. Revolutionary politics, Black revolutionary militancy, Black Panther Party. So much of what we do today is they set the foundation.
Man,
you know.
No doubt.
Them and Malcolm X, obviously, and you know, the revolutionaries from the 60s and 70s.
And even before that, Marcus Garvey had his headquarters in West Oakland, you know what I mean? So,
he did, okay.
Yeah, they have the old UNIA building, still got the red, black, and green flag out front from the 1920s, bro. So
that's
100 years later, you know, the struggle continues.
No doubt, because I know you're very active, you're politically outspoken. Did that come after the music? Did the music come first? Did the activism come first? Or did they come together?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, some of my family, I had some aunties and uncles that were, you know, really revolutionaries, you know, so I always kind of had them, and some of my older cousins were kind of always put me up on game in terms of like political awareness from the time I was really young, you know what I mean? And so that helped. And then obviously growing up in hip hop culture, you know, being a practitioner, you know, from a kid starting out trying to b-boy, then writing graph, then, you know, DJing, and eventually MCing. You know, hip hop in the 80s and 90s, bro, there was so much knowledge in there. You know, you learned so much from the music that, like, it all kind of entwined together. So I basically, you know, started making music, and my music wasn't necessarily political at first. You know, 'cause I'm from the mid 90s, man. So that my first songs was more, you know, battle rapping, and you know, just that kind of, you know, underground
the bravado,
shit.
the I'm better than you type of thing.
Because we were doing a lot of freestyle battles back then. You know what I mean? Again, in the 90s, bro. So we was really in it. But eventually, when I linked up with my crew, my OG crew, Youth Internationals, these cats, they had high political consciousness. So I kind of tapped in with them.
What are they called? Youth International?
Yeah, Youth Internationals, you know what I mean?
They're like a hip-hop group or collective?
Yeah, it was a collective. It was a collective
nice.
out there in the city of Santa Ana. You know, shout out to the whole crew, man. My man Zaire Black, Last Man, DJ Drez. A lot of the brothers from the crew have gone on to do other things. But yeah, man, those cats, they were a few years older than me, but they definitely were revolutionary minded, you know what I mean? And so working with them, it kind of sparked some of the roots of my family roots, you know what I mean, in me to start getting more consciousness in the music.
Nice. That's what I want to talk about, your family roots. Because your name, Ras Ceylon. Ceylon is the original name of Sri Lanka?
Well, actually, it was the colonizers.
The colonizers' name, okay.
Yeah, so the British called the island of Sri Lanka Ceylon, C-E-Y-L-O-N. And so really, because my old MC name used to be MC Matrix before the movie, though. This is like 96,
Really?
97.
Okay.
Yeah, I just like the way it looked. Actually, it goes back to the...
That is pretty dope, MC Matrix.
Right? Because the Transformers, the movie, I don't know if you remember that old school cartoon, the Transformers cartoon, they had the Matrix of Leadership. So that was my inspiration for that, right? But eventually, I was in the studio with my man June 22, and I was looking on a map he had in his room, and it had the Ceylon up there, and C-E-Y-L-O-N. I really liked how it looked, and the graffiti writer in me was like, oh, I could write that nicely.
That does look nice.
You know what I mean? So I kind of took it on like that.
So that was your tag name for a while?
For a little bit, yeah. And so
the graffiti game was strong in the West Coast?
I mean, it was definitely strong in the West Coast. I was more of a toy. I'm going to keep it real. Like, I tried. It wasn't necessarily my thing, you know what I mean?
I would just go with my boys. I'm not artistic. I would just take the risk,
tags up,
go with the subway trains, take the risk. I'm almost done with my boys, but they would do it for me because I'm crap with graffiti and all that.
We all have our elements, you know what I mean? Our lanes, you try it out, but you see what you're good at,
Still good times, though.
Yeah. So originally, it was just more about the lettering and how it looked, you know, and also wanting to identify with my heritage because I was born and raised in Cali, man, but knowing that my roots are from this island that was at the time in the Civil War, you know, because the Sri Lankan Civil War was from '83 to 2009. So like pretty much my whole life, it was a Civil War. So we'd go and visit, and it would be like checkpoints and curfews and, you know, bomb scares and all kinds of crazy shit that I witnessed as a youth growing up. And so it was just a way to kind of tap into the heritage.
It definitely impacts you as a youth. You may not understand everything that's going on around you, but it impacts you when you grow up.
Man, for real. And trying to understand, like, you know, why is it like that? You know what I mean? But then also seeing, like, you know, street tribes of the gang wars in Cali juxtaposed with a civil war in the so-called third world island. You know what I mean? It was just like...
So like what's going on, it's almost like a mini civil war in Cali.
Man, right.
What's going on. It's almost like a mini civil war in a weird way.
Man, with the Crips and Bloods back then, hell yeah. It was no joke.
It's, you know, and it's like, it's over like divisions, obviously, petty sectarianism. I know you went out there, you've toured Sri Lanka, and I know there's been controversy with you being out there and stuff with the government, you know, because you kind of speak out against the sectarianism.
Definitely.
So you're Sinhalese.
So I'm a member of the majority group, right? And so the Civil War was all about, really, it's classic post-colonial struggle, where during colonialism, a lot of times, the European imperialists, they would take the minority group and essentially make them the dominant power, right? Give them access to education, jobs, all that stuff. And then when independence comes, now you have the majority group that now oppresses that former, you know, the minority group.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah, to basically say, okay, now we're the first class and you got to fall back because, you know, and so same type of deal. With the Sinhalese during the British colonialism, our people were the majority, we were, you know, treated less than. But then boom, as soon as independence, so-called independence is granted, now we're oppressing the Tamils, who were the minorities, right? But me and my family have always been kind of open-minded about that. So really speaking out on behalf, you know, for the rights of all minorities in the island as a member of the majority group. So that's definitely was seen as a threat. And so yeah, man.
So my understanding was your music was banned out there, or some of your music, and was it?
Well, there was one particular song specifically, and the song is called Sri Lanka. Folks can check it out. It basically was like,
how could a song called Sri Lanka get banned? You know, like the absurdity of it.
Man,
you know?
And I've made some, you know, controversial music before. This was not one of those songs. This is a peace and unity anthem. It's literally about healing. It's like, okay, we've had a 27-year civil war. Here's what I think should happen to avoid further conflict. But because the powers that be were more interested in keeping people divided, they didn't want to talk about that. So the song was getting really popular. It was being requested on the radio. And then that was 2012, and then I moved back to the U.S. in 2013. So
you were in Sri Lanka for a while?
For about a year, for about a year. So 2012.
So you went out there to pursue music, or you went out there to see family?
No, I actually went out there working for a NGO, or non-governmental organization, because I do work in the education field as well. And so basically I was going out there to help out, you know, after the Civil War was over, you know, to help rebuild the island.
I hear you,
But what's crazy is a lot of people from the diaspora were returning to the island during that time. Because the war was over. So I was getting recognized in the streets, man. It was a trip. People were like, oh, man. You know, they recognized me from the MySpace days. Because I guess on MySpace, they were like, oh, you know, I was like one of the few Sri Lankan rappers back then, you know. And so I started getting a lot of media attention, started doing like a lot of shows and, you know, TV, radio, magazines, all kinds of stuff. And so it was crazy. But the whole time I'm working a full-time job while I'm there.
Wow, okay.
So it was really a blessing, man. And so folks can check out the video Repatriation Time that
That's a beautiful song. So did you write that song before you went out there for the year?
I wrote that song as soon as I knew I was moving there. Nice. I was like, yo, because repatriation, that's a concept in Rastafari which talks about like returning to your roots, you know? Repatriation meaning going to your homeland, your father's land, your motherland, you know?
And so many of our countries depend on repatriation for money that we bring back home. For example, tourism, you know, investment, you know, things like that.
No doubt.
Sending money to families, things like that. But also even forget about the money part, just connecting to your roots and your family. And you know, when you were talking about the divisions earlier, so many of our nations would be so much stronger if we didn't have these sectarian divisions, distracting us, killing each other when we should be working together somehow. You know, like in Sri Lanka, you got the Sinhalese, the Tamils, the Muslims. How was it you going from being a majority group Sinhalese to becoming Rastafari, from understanding, and then converting to Islam?
True. It's been a journey, man. Alhamdulillah, it's been a blessed journey. What's crazy is right now in Sri Lanka, it's like major Islamophobia, like even in the laws. It's a Buddhist government, a Sinhalese Buddhist government, but this government is not the Buddhist that you think of, you know what I mean? Like, these are some militants, like, to where, you know, when I was there, I hadn't even become Muslim yet. So, like, I'm probably even more of a threat now that I embraced Islam, you know. But in terms of the path and the journey, man, on the ground, and you find this wherever you go, man, the people themselves, like on the grassroots level, there's so much unity. Like, people don't trip off the religion, language, ethnic differences, you know what I mean? It's only when you get into the politics of it or the higher levels that it starts becoming an issue, you know. So you know, Sri Lanka being a tropical island, they love the message of reggae and the Rastafarian, you know what I mean, traditions. They were into it. They just didn't know about it. So I was spending a lot of time kind of educating about, you know, some of the traditions that I learned, you know, being in Jamaica and stuff like that.
So the Rastafarianism. So how did people look at you when you were switching? You know, do people like were mad at you because you're abandoning your initial traditions? Like, well, it's always that type of pressure and stuff.
Yeah, I think maybe like internally, like with some of my, you know, family members or crew, there was maybe might have been some dialogue, but for the most part, man, I gotta be honest, folks are embracing it, because you'll find, you know, within Rasta, it's not really a religion anyway. It's more of a spiritual path, you know what I mean? And so with Al-Islam, to me, getting on my deen was more about just refining myself, you know what I mean? And so I think similar to when I became a Rasta around 17, 18, my family was cool with it, because even though it made it seem like this kind of strange thing, they saw my behavior change and my character change. You know what I'm saying?
Positive things that came with it, you mean? Yeah.
True.
Yeah,
so the same way, when I went from Rastafari to Islam, there was certain refinement that was seen by everyone. You know what I mean? That's when I became a full-time history teacher, and just a lot of things in life. I had a lot more discipline, and that's what Islam brought me that I really needed.
So you teach in the Bay Area?
Yes, sir.
Nice,
yep.
nice.
Yep.
History classes, you said?
Yeah, history.
That's awesome.
I do world history. We do hip hop ed, man. Okay. We've been doing. That's how I started as a teacher, to be honest. The first thing I ever taught was a hip hop workshop. You know what I mean? I was like 18 years old.
Yeah.
At San Francisco Mission District. They're like, okay, we need you to teach the youth. What can you teach them? I was like, shit. Write some raps, you know what I mean? Teach about the four elements.
Can't go wrong with exactly.
And now that's a whole lane. Hip hop ed is the whole thing, but we was doing that like, 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And on the reggae tip, did you start off musically doing reggae and then got into the rap hip hop, or
kind of the opposite? Okay. Kind of the opposite. Started with hip hop.
You said you do more battle rap initially, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. But then, like, most of my crew that I was mentioning, Youth Internationals, those dudes were all Rasta. You know what I mean? So we would go to the Nyabingi sessions in South Central LA, be deep into the culture, and then traveling to Jamaica and stuff, and just being around a lot of Rastafari vibes. It just started getting real natural in terms of like incorporating some of those elements into the hip hop. You know what I mean?
That's super dope. I mean, I know you're still politically active, obviously. You do work with Fred Hampton Jr.
Yep,
Shout out to him. I know he's constantly doing amazing campaigns and bringing awareness. Y'all was together recently.
Yeah, we were together often, man. Black Panther Party Cubs. That's one of the organizations I represent. You know what I mean? And that's chaired by Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. And based in Chicago, more politically correct Chirac. You know what I mean? And so we spent a lot of time there. We got the Save the Hampton House campaign, which is preserving the legacy and the home that Chairman Fred Sr. grew up in. And so we've been working on that.
Okay. Man, that's not the home he was assassinated in.
No.
Okay.
But that's important too. December 4th, 1969, the assassination, which we commemorate that day every year. December 4th is IRD, or International Revolutionary Day. And so we always have events around that. And it's dope, man, with this movie, the film Judas and the Black Messiah. Did you see that film?
I did see it. Amazing.
Right
on. Yes.
Yeah, so we were able to help with that film as well. A lot of people, some people are like, oh, you making a movie about the snitch and all this stuff. I'm like, yo, man, if folks only knew how much work Chairman Fred Jr. and the Cubs put into making sure that that story was told accurately, you know what I mean? So when you watch that film, you're getting a lot of deep insight into the politics of the Panther Party, way more than even in some books. And it's a Hollywood film, so shout out to Ryan Coogler, who produced it, the whole team, the directors from out here, Shaka King.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That whole team, it was amazing, man. So we're still, we're doing screenings of the films. We have a curriculum, an education guide that we did with the group called Participant around the film. So that film has helped to bring the works of the Black Panther Party Cubs to the next level. You know what I mean?
More awareness. Okay. Yeah. So it's Save the Hampton House. That's where he grew up initially.
So now it's our base of operations. It's a museum.
Okay.
We have a people's garden there. There's a community fridge. It's like, it's really dope. And it's a nice space. So I've spent time there. Even the summer of 2020, when after the police killing of George Floyd, you know, me and Chairman Fred and the Cubs, we was all over, man. We was in Minneapolis, Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That whole summer, we was out there in the streets, man. Like,
that was intense.
for all those rebellions, you know. And so, you know, but you know, what's funny is, like, even though we have a new president or whatever, everyone's kind of calmed down, but the conditions are still the same, man. Police are still killing people. You know what I mean? Poverty's increasing. You know, we say this COVID thing is like capitalism on steroids. So the contradictions are being heightened. So
Without a doubt.
the need for revolutionary change is ever relevant. You know,
Sometimes that gets a little muted when it's a Democrat in power.
it seems like
It's
it.
like, you know, people calm down a little bit because they don't want to criticize the Democrat because they fear the Republican
Right.
taking over.
Man.
But then if things aren't changing, we might get into a goddamn war right now.
Real talk.
Like, this is
World
some
War III.
serious shit right
Real
here.
talk. What
You
they
know?
say, they're giving like damn near $1 billion for Ukraine. Meanwhile, people can't even eat out here. You know what I'm
Exactly,
saying?
man. It's
crazy.
really, you know, I'm not against, you know, I don't want to see anybody die over there in Ukraine or
Man,
Russia,
no,
but
real
it's
talk.
like, there is a lot of contradictions here. 'Cause
Yes.
there's people dying in Yemen, there's people dying in Somalia,
Man.
people dying in the Congo, in
Thank you.
Palestine, in Syria,
Every
and
day.
Iraq. You know,
Every day.
and it's not about a competition or oppression Olympics.
No.
But you can't be funding and supporting one war, the bombing of Yemen by Saudi
Exactly.
Arabia,
Which-
and then you're condemning Russia and
Man,
Putin.
and thank you for speaking on that, because you know our tax dollars pay for those Saudi bombs that are dropping on Yemen right now. One of the worst humanitarian crises for years, bro.
They're starving
You
the
know?
nation, you know.
Yes.
They've sanctioned and blockaded the nation, and nothing, no consequences.
Man.
I don't want to get too political, but but you know, I'm with the
real.
right artist for it. You know what I'm saying, my
Yo,
brother?
We gonna go there. We gonna
So
go there.
so
you know?
even you know, with the whole Putin thing, he's a war criminal. They're saying, what about George Bush?
Man.
This guy destroyed Iraq. You understand? The initial invasion killed thousands of Iraqi civilians. Hundreds of thousands were killed throughout the occupation the last
Real
20
talk.
years. Millions fled as refugees.
Yes.
Why aren't we talking about George Bush
Man.
being a war criminal?
Hey, I'm gonna keep it real. I know this might not be popular with some folks, but even Barack Obama, man, let's keep it real. Look at Libya, man. Look at Libya pre the NATO invasion.
Very true.
And Libya right now. You know what I mean?
Chaos now.
Yeah, straight up.
Civil war, divisions. It was much better off with Gaddafi.
Yeah, real talk.
Whether you like him, you don't like him, it's irrelevant. The
Yeah.
country was much better off with him, and it's up to the people to decide how things changed. It was brought through force, through NATO bombing of Libya.
Yes.
You know,
And so this whole deal with Western imperialism, feeling like we got, you know, the West has to be the police of the world is ridiculous, man. And it really, it's neo-colonialism. You know what I mean? Like what we were talking about earlier when we talking about the sectarianism. It's like most indigenous people, man. Like we never had these kind of divide and conquer issues for thousands of years. We have differences, yes, but we always were able to function together, right? It's only with colonialism, Western imperialism, that these contradictions are heightened to the fact that now it becomes antagonistic.
They're exploited, they're
Man,
instigated.
exactly.
That's what happened in Iraq. They instigated the
Yes.
Sunni Shia division. They try to do it in
Always.
Syria.
Yes.
Obviously in Sri Lanka, what happened.
Big time,
Hopefully
yeah.
things are better now, but it took years of violence
Man.
and killing and people leaving and you know, fleeing. You know.
It's crazy, and it should never take that, man. You know what I mean? Like, I personally feel like, you know, these kind of wars are unjust, period. You know what I mean? Straight up, because at the end of the day, it's the poor people are the ones that suffer. You know,
Without a doubt.
meanwhile, those who are pushing the buttons are comfortable. You know?
And it just shows with all the media coverage and how, like, you know, supporting the refugees from Ukraine and everything. It shows how they feel about non-white refugees.
Man, real
It's
talk.
really offensive. This is
Man.
really offensive shit.
Yeah.
They're showing us that they think we're dirt.
Man,
Those of us fleeing wars in Syria and
Right.
Iraq, they think we're garbage.
right. Or even the African refugees
Even the
fleeing
African
Ukraine,
refugees.
you know, being denied. And
Exactly.
Stuff. It's
Are they
still
supposed to?
happening.
Are they supposed to stay and fight the Russian soldiers? Like
Man.
they're not supposed to leave either. You know, like I
It's
don't
deep.
get it. You know.
Yeah, it's deep, man.
It's sad. It's
Yeah,
sad.
it
but,
really is.
Yeah, but you know, hopefully it exposes things and makes more people aware. That's what I'm hoping. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. But you know, back to your song being banned in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
How did you find out about that?
Yeah, so it was a trip, man, because you know it was being requested on the radio. The other song, Repatriation Time, was like the most requested song for like 2 months. So we had a big buzz building, right? And we actually had shot a major video for it using like a Bollywood film company. Like it was going to be a huge video for
So
it.
you shot that in Sri Lanka as well?
Yeah.
So you shot Repatriation in Sri Lanka too,
Yep,
right?
that one, yep. And then Sri Lanka, we shot it in downtown in Colombo.
Okay.
Repatriation time, we shot in Kandy, which is like the hill country.
It was nice. I saw like all the kids in the background,
exactly.
the beautiful,
all natural,
the background looked amazing, the nature.
It, man. I miss my island, man.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so but Sri Lanka, we shot it. It was a big thing. So as we were getting ready for the video to be finalized, and the song was buzzing on the radio, my team out there gives me a call and like, hey, we just got a weird message from the biggest radio station. I'm like, saying what? Saying that, you know, due to the political climate, they can no longer play my song on the radio. And they're like, you know, we didn't really understand what that was about. They're like, okay, when the situation calms down, they'll be able to play it. But I'm like, what situation? The war's been over. This is a peace anthem. What are we talking about, you know? But then after that, I find out that the government went and raided the video company and stole all the footage from the music video
For the new song, the
Sri
Sri
Lanka.
Lanka.
So you know, so they kind of harassed that.
That's insane.
Videographers.
So some minister must have heard it or something. Some nationalist or right winger or whatever, and he was like, "We got to put an end to this."
Shut it down. So basically, that was it. And then later on, some of the team had a meeting with some government officials, and they basically made it plain and told them that they looked at me as a problem,
as a threat.
Basically, and that they shouldn't work with me if they wanted to have a future in the country. So I haven't been back at all, man. You know, I might go back. I don't know. I'm thinking about, you know, I really want to go see my grandfather, who's like 102 years old. You know, I really want to go see him, and I have a lot of loved ones and a lot of work still to do there. Because to be honest, many of the things that I talked about in that song have come to pass. The things that I was saying we shouldn't do, you know, have actually happened. And so the government, instead of taking it like, all right, the Civil War is over, let's try to unify the people, they've actually increased the divisions. And now they started like I mentioned earlier, they started targeting Muslims. They try to ban halal food labeling. Like,
because the Muslims are even the smaller minority.
Yes, about 10% of the island. Most of the island is Buddhist controlled, and then the Tamils are Hindu and Christian, and then the Muslims are about 10%. But during the Civil War, the Muslims were never involved. They were like out of it. They were not involved on either side of the conflict, and they actually were displaced by the Tamil Tigers from the east or north of the island, right? And so they were always like the most peaceful group in the island during the war. And so it's just really disturbing that after the war, now they're being targeted literally for just existing, you know what I mean? And again, it's this Buddhist extremism. Buddhist extremism, you know? And that's my people's, man.
The sectarian extremism can affect anybody.
Yeah, any religion too.
Any religion.
People oftentimes look at that as like only this religion or that religion, but they don't think about Buddhism. But yo, again, these are my people, man. And Sinhalese people. So we say it's still decolonized, you know? The concept of decolonization is very deep. You know, I know it's become more of a buzzword these days, but to me it's like, it's really about like understanding like what artificial divisions were put in place for 500 years of colonialism, and how are we still being affected by it, you know what I mean?
Definitely. We're definitely still affected by it.
Yeah, big time.
Everything that's happening in our countries now is a result of a lot of those decisions that were made 100, 200, 300, 500 years ago, like you said.
Even the borders, you know what I mean?
Even the borders, exactly.
You look at the continent of Africa, man, that was the Berlin Conference of 1885, where they got together and literally
divided it. This is your portion, this is my portion.
Yeah, real talk.
And we're going to take it at all costs. We got to kill millions of people.
Man, or if these groups are against each other or you know, have been fighting, we'll just put them in the same country, you know what I'm saying?
The biggest problem I've seen is that our countries, when there's divisions, we haven't figured out a way to address it without the imperialists exploiting it.
Man.
They've figured out, they're geniuses. They figured out a way to exploit any divisions, whether you're yearning for democracy, yearning for power. They'll instigate stuff, and then they'll you need to do that. And then it's also kind of what they did with the Ukraine, kind of like push them to like confront Russia, and then we're gonna help you a little bit. Maybe we won't, maybe we will. We'll see. But y'all are just gonna cannon fodder for the powers that be.
Like the bullies on the block. You know what I'm saying? Real
exactly. All the civilians are just expendable, basically. You know.
What do they call it? Collateral damage.
Collateral damage, as they call it. Yeah.
But these are human lives, you know, and the value of life. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing. It's critical. It's like, you know, one life should not be more valuable than another. You know what I mean? But that's the way that.
And that's the thing. It's not collateral damage. It's war crimes.
Straight up.
Whether it's in Iraq or whatever city that's being bombed, in Libya, in Ukraine, You're killing civilians
Palestine,
intentionally in
yeah.
Palestine.
Gaza, yo.
You're targeting civilians intentionally.
Man.
That's war crimes, you
Straight
know.
up, straight
So
up.
let's not just point the fingers at America's enemies and
Man.
not the allies,
No,
you know,
that's real.
or at ourselves, really,
Yeah,
right?
real talk. Real talk.
Before we get into the freestyle session,
we getting deep on this freestyle drive, y'all.
This is a more political episode, but I had to do it with you. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it.
A revolutionary
Everything's
brother.
political, really, though. You know what I mean? So it's important, you know.
What are you here for? You shooting a video, from my understanding?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we got the new single called "Frontline Generalz."
I love the artwork.
Yeah, you like that? Okay, right on. Get
Frontline
thanks.
Generalz.
Yes, sir. So shout out to Timbo King, Tragedy Gaddafi.
Nice.
Collabed on that joint. So yeah, we're gonna shoot the video for that tomorrow out here in NYC, man. Looking forward to that. And then tonight we have the Sean Price's heavenly 50th birthday,
50th
man.
birthday,
So
happy birthday, yes.
didn't even know I was gonna be in town for that.
Wow,
But that's
okay.
a blessing, man. I knew the brother when he was alive, man, and
Nice.
you know, got a lot of love for boot camp.
So you met Sean P?
Yeah, a couple times, man.
Okay.
A couple times, man.
In New York or in Cali?
Actually,
or?
in Cali, we opened up
Nice.
for him in Buckshot a few times, and
That's
kind
amazing.
of kept the
That's-
link over the years,
That's
you know.
dope. Now you in their territory.
Man,
You're
real
in
talk.
Brooklyn right
Yes,
now.
sir.
We're in
No
Crown
doubt.
Heights, you know, Brownsville,
Yeah.
Bed-Stuy, whatever, all of it, you know?
I love Brooklyn, man. Brooklyn's always felt like
Yeah.
kind of like a second home to me, man. Y'all blessed out here with the good food too, man.
Nice, yeah. You got all the spots, right?
I'm telling you, get some good juice, get some good roti,
Definitely.
some yard food, all them things. You know?
You hitting the Jamaican spots?
Oh, yeah.
What about the
Yesterday-
Trini restaurants? I go to Trini
Oh,
restaurants?
those
Yeah.
are like the two things. Which I
Nice.
go back and forth. You know what I mean? Because
Nice.
we can't get a lot of that in the Bay. You know what I mean? Like there's some spots, but not like out here, man. You know what I'm saying?
So again, I know the new song is featuring Tragedy Gaddafi and Timbo King. You've done lots of songs with Tragedy Gaddafi.
Yeah, we actually dropped an EP
Okay.
in 2018, I think. Yeah, it's called The Full Metal Jacket. Same producer, Dawood Justice, who did this song.
Is Dawood Justice from New York or from
He
the West
actually,
Coast?
he's from my crew, Youth International.
Oh,
so,
okay,
yep,
okay.
Yep. So, you know, it's my brother, man. We grew up together, been working together for decades. So, you know, but with the trip, he's actually originally from Queens, though.
Oh, he is?
Yeah,
Okay,
but
okay.
he moved to LA when he was real young,
Yeah.
though. You know what I'm saying? So,
That's where you go to if you want a lot of crazy food from
Word.
all over the world.
okay.
You don't get more diverse
I think
than
we're heading there
Queens.
later today.
All right,
We actually
all
got a
right.
studio session with Timbo from doing some more work. Timbo
Nice.
King too, man. So shout out to the
That's
Woo too,
dope,
man.
that's
Like
dope.
the whole Woo affiliation, man.
Without a doubt, that's dope.
Got some shit with Prodigal Son
Nice.
working on Sons of Man.
Sons
you know,
of Man, love the Sons of Man.
Man.
You was wrong for that, Nori. Sons of
Man.
Man's a legend. We in Brooklyn
Man.
right now. We in Sons of Man's territory
Yeah,
right
for real.
now.
Long live ODB, Brooklyn
Yeah.
Zoo. RIP to 12 o'clock. You know what I
RIP.
mean? Murdoch. Real talk.
Shout out to Intel, the new generation, second generation
real
Woo.
talk.
You got son. This is his hat right here
Oh, word?
that he
Oh,
designed.
nice.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm
that's
saying?
sick.
He's
I'll keep
representing the young cats in
Man,
Wu Tang. You know.
hell yeah.
I know you got the Wu Tang gear.
Yeah,
I've
man.
been trying to get the jackets, but they haven't done a pop up show in New York
I
as
know.
far as
See,
I
they
know.
had the pop-up shop in
Yeah.
the Bay, man. You know,
Damn.
shout out to Power, Woo Wear. You know what I mean? He was holding it down, man. And so yeah, we was out there building with the brothers, man. And it was a trip because I was out there. I was in the Bay while they had the pop-up shop, and then I came to New York. When I came out here, I went to one of the Czarface show. You know,
Yeah.
Esoteric and
It's,
INS.
exactly, yeah.
And I had this other jacket, the other Woo jacket on, and man, that's why I linked with Timbo and shit. You know what I mean? And so it's just 360, man. We keep
That's
this
super
shit rolling.
dope.
You
That's
know?
super dope. I love that. I love seeing that. Yeah.
And as you was mentioning, you know, Shaolin's got mad Sri Lankans. You know?
Exactly, because I know you was out there
Yeah,
recently and you were
yeah.
surprised, right?
I was surprised, man. I was shocked, actually, because one of my cousins had told me, like, yo, there's they got a Sri Lankan cultural museum on Staten Island. I said, what? But then I had heard some things, you know. I was saying, like, back in the day, my homie told me he got into a cab in Staten Island, and the cabbie was playing my songs,
That's
you know, playing my
crazy.
old mixtape.
I believe it because
wild.
there is a sizable community out there. I went to college out there for a little bit,
Word.
so I was introduced to the community and the food and the culture.
Man.
It was I love it, man. You
That's
know,
beautiful.
all the nice restaurants on Victory Boulevard and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've always, you know, I was kind of been a day one Wu-Tang head, you know what I mean? Like, so I never, it kind of made the connection make more sense.
I
too,
got
you. Know
you.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, Wu-Tang has been eating lump rice and
I
stuff. You know,
guess so.
They grew up eating Sri Lankan
Man,
food. You
I
ain't know
mean,
about it?
Yo, the little Sri Lanka district is walking distance from Stapleton. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's amazing, man. That's super
yeah.
dope. I'm happy to hear that. That surprises, you know, put a
Right.
smile on your face,
Hey,
you
man,
know.
it's culture, man. Whether it's hip hop culture or our global culture, man, it's all connected. And
That's
that's the beautiful thing about hip hop too, man. That's why we can get political, man. Because hip hop, that's the vehicle that gave us a voice, man. It gave us a way to, like, you know, as you mentioned, the media became our own media. Like Chuck D used to say, like, hip hop is like the CNN, for, you know what I mean, for the hood, basically. You know what I mean? So Yeah, man, I'm always thankful. Shout out to DJ Kool Herc, for blessing us, man, with this wonderful culture and all the pioneers, man, all the elders. I always pay homage to the elders of the culture, man. It's very, very important, because if it wasn't for the sacrifices they made, man, we wouldn't even be talking like this today. So
no doubt.
So much respect.
Much respect, no doubt. You ready for the freestyle
man,
session?
Let's see what it do.
So we got you here for. I'm gonna put it on, all right?
All right.
My man Ras Ceylon. Freestyle Drive, my brother Ras Ceylon. I'm Lebanese Ether. Make sure you check out all the work these amazing brothers doing.
Get it, let's get it.
Yeah.
Freestyle Drive, yo. Hey yo, we living in strange days in the era of rebellion, uprising in the streets, people dying by the millions, worldwide genocide, global pandemic, depopulating the planet, biological patents. It's all political and economical planning. People tend to panic when they can't overstand that this has been a war and the price of freedom is death. I'm a soldier to the struggle, to the system, stay a threat like a glitch in the matrix, exposing fake things, full-time fighting fascists, eliminating racists, planting colonization of this capitalist state, all based on hatred, but I build with the living legacy of Chairman Fred. Kill a revolutionary, revolution can't be dead. Know the ledge like I got no strikes left. Freedom or death, I scream with my last breath. Put my life on the line, it's much deeper than rhymes. You can check my resume, the feds is reading these files. They know what numbers to dial, trying to put us through trial. But we upset the setup, free them all with the style like 9 miles of Black Star liner ships, Garveyite, rebel type alliances. The science is real self-reliance, pigs killing in the streets. Now we meet them with defiance. This is the highest order of resistance. Stand firm, burn fire with my fist clenched. Listen to the ending of their shitstorm. Babylon falls like another statue missing. Confederates can't forget it's embedded in this country. Slavery the source of all their blood money. Say less, you must study then apply. Cause no lie, you fight to get free or you just die.
Wow, my brother Ras Ceylon,
yes,
my
indeed,
brother.
Lebanese Ether, Freestyle Drive.
Bars right there, bars.
All.
Yeah, revolutionary politics right here, and hip hop, and music, and culture.
One.
And like you said, no war, man. I just want to be clear. We don't want to see war anywhere. I don't want to see war in Ukraine. I want to be a ceasefire, not an escalation. Stop the out machoing each other and instigating a World War III.
Real talk.
Ceasefire needs to be done.
Man, real talk. And stop the wars in the hood too, man. You know what I'm saying? Man, we gotta decolonize even right here. In this Turtle Island, man, in this occupied territory we in,
I don't want to interrupt you. We're going to keep it going.
All right.
The freestyle, Ras Ceylon.
Yeah.
From the Bay Area, we're in Brooklyn today.
Yes, indeed.
We're here in town shooting a music video.
Oakland to Brooklyn, this how we do it. Represent Ras Ceylon, I keep it movement. Me and Lebanese Ether, we got the realest. Freestyle Drive, y'all all feel this. Prophecy revealing, it's real type of healing. That's why we do it, man. Fist to the ceiling if you got that feeling. We all keep it live. This is how we do, man. We strive to survive. Freestyle like that drive, you tuned in to the right station. It's constant elevation. Any situation, we moving up like elevators. When it comes to the rhymes, man, I'm an escalator. Meaning I can't never be intimidated. It's like that, the style is never faded. I'm just elated to celebrate the culture. Make a new art piece, call it my own sculpture. Insult the fact that they don't know. This is the original flow that goes back to the prehistoric times, man. It's ancient. This is how we do, man. Escaping the matrix is basic. Yeah, the tracks get laced with nothing but that real shit, man. We be chasing
MC Matrix.
Old school. You know how we do, man. Before Pro Tools, I was recording on 4 tracks. That was our format. Used to have some dirty wax and little tapes with hits. Yeah, and fake cats would get dissed. You could never rap on some bullshit. You would get hit with the fucking lyric in the side of your dome and you would feel it. But nowadays it's like you log on, URL, and you got your own song. It's wrong, but hey, I'm all cool with this next generation as long as they're like Outkast and keep it elevation. You understand? That's playing no station.
Wow, I'm bringing Ras Ceylon back to the battle days.
You know what I'm saying? Real
freestyle off the top days.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
Man, feeling the vibes.
I love it, my brother. I love it.
Yes,
Thank you so much. Where can people check you out online? What's the best places?
Man, everywhere at RasCeylon. Keep it real simple. Just at Ras Ceylon. We everywhere, man. Twitter, IG, YouTube, all that. Stay in tune, man. We got the Frontline Generalz video coming soon. Got the new project we working on right now. You can check the whole catalog. Been making music, releasing music since 1999. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of stuff for y'all to check out, man. Definitely appreciate my brother Lebanese Ether putting us on. Because, you know, they don't always want to hear from the revolutionary MCs, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, cats that are cut from my cloth feel like they either have to water themselves down or they have to try to do something to appease to the mainstream. But I personally have never felt that, man. We come from that cloth of authentic hip-hop, that the dopest shit is the shit that's pure and untampered with, you know what I mean? So I appreciate you having this format, you know what I mean?
Thank you, my brother. Never that. We want to promote, you know, dope MCs, whether they're conscious or not. But you have to be a dope MC. But if you're conscious, it's even a bonus for me.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right on.
We all, you know, we did
bars
get
is first.
As bars is first. We did get a little deep on the show, but hey, it's educational. You're an educator. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I'm trying to bring awareness to the world and what's going on because we want people. You know what I'm saying? So freestyledrive.com for all my previous episode. Frontline Generalz, the music video is coming out soon, but they can hear the song. The song is out.
Yeah, song's out everywhere, all streaming platforms. Frontline Generalz with a Z. Check that out.
Beautiful, my brother. Ras Ceylon.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Peace.
Peace.